what is maybe shown, and there's lots of arguments on who's framing the narrative and how do you prove the reality. But what was remarkable about these documents that the Washington Post obtained after a 3-year Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the government was you would see in black and white these transcripts of people at all levels of the war, from the White House, senior levels, Pentagon, State Department, on down, that, you know, it was just so striking how honest they were for the first time about how bad things were and how they knew it at the time, that there were two of your predecessors as commanding general of U.S. forces in Afghanistan said, we didn't have a strategy. You know, just black and white. We didn't, you know, we had lots of tactics. We didn't have a strategy. There was one interview, a transcript with a senior U.S. diplomat who was head of the South Asia Bureau, who had been at one time the chief Pentagon spokesman, who said, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't have the foggiest idea of what we were doing in Afghanistan. And he wasn't the only one. You know, you read one of these and think, oh, they're just, you know, exaggerating for effect a little bit. You would see it again and again. There were 300 of these interview transcripts that we finally got our hands on. Some of them were recorded, you use the audio. And people were blunt, and you heard it time and time again. And that to me was like, okay, this is, you know, there are some parallels here what we saw with the Pentagon Papers in Vietnam, where the government essentially admitted we deceived the public about how the war was going because we didn't want to confront the reality. So this was the rare instance where you had the receipts. And, you know, you did a beautiful job of bringing